Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with so many distinguished representatives from member states, civil society, business, and the UN. I'm Anastasia Thatcher from the strategy and technology consulting firm Accenture. I lead a very special global practice. We're dedicated to designing, facilitating, and measuring partnerships for sustainable development impact. We've supported hundreds of multi-sector initiatives and more than 40 development partnerships. Having sat on the same side of the table as NGOs, governments, as well as companies, I wish to share with you today some reflections on the role the private sector could play to achieve the SDGs, and what global partnership for sustainable development could mean. But first, I want to briefly define the private sector. It's a vast, differentiated group of organizations, as different as the public sector organizations and CSOs represented here today. We speak of multinational companies, national companies, social ventures, small and medium enterprises. And these companies range and run along a continuum, from those that have the leadership and structures to fully align their resources to achieve the SDGs, to more duplicitous businesses that think in the very short term and often erode human rights, natural resources, and social good. In short, I urge you not to lump all the private sector together into one category. Successful businesses are those that generate profit not at the expense of society, but instead linked to the very value they create for society. Such successful businesses will be vital actors to achieve the SDGs, and we need to nurture their inclusion while making the existence of any other kind of businesses untenable. So I'd like to share my views on why the SDGs matter to businesses, what their role may be in the means of implementation, as well as in a global partnership for sustainable development. Making progress against the goals will unlock new markets, talent, and suppliers. It will protect valuable natural resources and will ensure good governance. These are critical inputs for a successful business. And increasingly, it matters more and more to consumers as well as to investors. Every 2 years, Accenture partners with the UN Global Compact to conduct a survey of more than 1,000 global CEOs. As of 2013, we found that 84% of those CEOs believe that business needs to take a leading role in delivery against global issues, but only 1 in 3 believes that business is doing enough today. The SDG framework, therefore, provides a very useful entry point for companies. Its universality opens a space for business to drive market-based solutions, particularly perhaps in the middle of the economic pyramid, as well as the middle lower end of the economic pyramid, which could efficiently address unmet need for billions. And at the end of the day, let's remember that the SDGs matter to businesses because companies are simply made up of people who live on this planet, who have children, who they want to grow up in a just world where they have the resources they need to live a fulfilled life. So thinking about the role of business in terms of the means of implementation, I propose 2 categories: contributions of private sector resources and contribution of private sector approaches. Resources does not just mean money and financing. It means the things money can buy. Sometimes businesses' greatest contributions can be their products, services, expertise, and scale. Indeed, I believe we must leverage private sector pragmatism and know-how, from procurement to logistics, from marketing to product design, from operations to big data analytics, if we are to achieve the SDGs. But even so, I cannot diminish the significant financial resources we will need to achieve the SDGs. Some estimate on the order of $2 to $3 trillion. And private sector capital will, of course, be key. Today, there's an estimated $50 billion in private impact investments. That number grew by an additional $13 billion just last year. This private capital advances pay for performance, investing in outcomes rather than inputs. Thinking about private sector approaches to bring to means of implementation discussions. Business engages in the development agenda today beyond corporate responsibility that sits outside the business. They are starting to explicitly and consciously design their core business itself to work in alignment with the SDGs. This reorientation of business is incredibly interesting and impactful. It speaks to stronger performance to eliminate harmful practices, as well as business models that actively create positive social and environmental value. The opportunity for businesses' core operations and core purpose to align with the SDGs is clear when we think about job creation. 9 out of 10 new jobs are created by the private sector. Social services. Today, the private sector provides up to 80% of healthcare in developing countries. And capacity building. There are limitless opportunities for technology transfer and to nurture local industry development in transitional economies. And this brings me to my final topic, global partnerships, a goal that I believe embodies 3 sentiments. First, the global partnership represents a mind shift, that we are all in this together, that we must work as a global partnership of the highest order. The CEO of DSM, a nutrition company that I quite admire, said it best: we cannot succeed in a world that fails. Second, the global partnership refers to the need for more formal multi-sector global organizations like Gavi, the Global Fund, that can pool funding and coordinate investment. And there's no doubt that we need more of such nodes for global agenda setting and aggregation efforts. But the notion of global partnership hopefully also refers to the vast proliferation of local level nodes, multi-sector collaborations which take a wide variety of shapes, sizes, and formats. The organic growth and diversity of partnerships models I find incredibly encouraging. This is where we will see local innovation, tailoring local solutions to meet the needs and actors there. We need to foster such experimentation and innovation in partnerships, to find a multitude of models that are fit for purpose to respond to the local level needs and incentives. In conclusion, I want to recognize that while my comments have primarily focused on the private sector, given my role in this discussion, strong government and civil society are absolutely necessary. Government must create an enabling environment and a level playing field. First and foremost, this means establishing rule of law and political stability. Further, governments need to price carbon, mandate transparent reporting standards, and create strong social safety nets. It is my personal view that to optimize the private sector's contribution to sustainable development, governments need to do more to regulate transfer pricing and capital flight, appropriately tax businesses, efficiently redistribute income and wealth, and provide incentives for full employment. Likewise, civil society must continue to focus on the most poor and vulnerable, populations that market-based solutions and even the public sector often struggle to reach. CSOs bring tremendous insights on how to reach people in the last mile, what their needs and preferences are, and how they make their daily choices. Most importantly, CSOs serve as society's conscience. We all need their moral compass to ensure that social justice and universality of access and opportunity is truly achieved. In closing, at Accenture, we believe people will increasingly seek out those organizations that provide the most value for their lives, regardless of sector. In the future, perhaps there will not even be 3 distinct sectors, but rather networked platforms of actors, an ecosystem we call the 4th sector, that brings together the capabilities and resources to create sustainable, systemic change for good, for all. Thank you.